May 20th, 2013, Moore looked ordinary. And that is exactly what makes this story hit so hard. Because in less than 40 minutes, an EF5 tornado would cut through the city, rip apart neighborhoods, destroy 2 elementary schools.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Cripple the local hospital, and leave an entire community staring at one brutal question. If the warnings were good, why were so many people still trapped in the worst possible place? This is not a story about a storm that came out of nowhere. If anything, it's the opposite. Forecasters had been signaling the severe weather threat days in advance. That matters because it changes the meaning of the whole event. The real tragedy is not that nobody knew. It is that knowing something terrible is possible and being protected from it are two very different things. By the middle of the day, the atmosphere was loaded. Central Oklahoma had the ingredients tornado forecasters hate seeing stacked in the same place at the same time. Strong instability, strong wind shear, and a storm firing boundary just west of the metro. A rotating supercell intensified as it moved toward Newcastle. The warning chain started early. A tornado watch went out at 1:10 p.m. At 2:12, a severe thunderstorm warning included more. At 2:40, that became a tornado warning. Now this is where the pacing should slow down and let the dread breathe. At 2:56 p.m, spotters in a television helicopter confirmed a tornado on the ground near Newcastle. 5 minutes later, at 3:01, the Weather Service issued the phrase nobody in Moore ever wants to hear: tornado emergency. That language is reserved for exceedingly dangerous situations. On this day, it fit. Sirens sounded, phones buzzed, local TV cut wall to wall. People had minutes, not a comfortable amount of time, just enough time to make one decision and hope it was the right one. The warnings worked. The storm was seen. The language was urgent. But the world underneath those warnings was far less ready than the forecast. The tornado crossed the river, intensified rapidly, and by the time it reached West Moore around 3:15, it was about a mile wide and moving a little over 20 miles an hour. Official reconstructions also show the path was not a clean straight. It generally tracked east-northeast, but near I-35 it jogged north, then briefly east-southeast before settling back into its broader east-northeast march. That detail matters, because when people say the tornado changed direction, they are not really wrong. But the precise version is better. The circulation veered and reoriented inside a violent supercell. That may sound less dramatic. Honestly, it's worse. A tornado like this does not move like a neat red line on a weather map. It lurches, it adjusts, it punishes anybody who assumes they have one more minute than they actually do. When Westmore took the first body blow, Briarwood was hit hard. So was Plaza Towers. Then the path bent near I-35 and struck Moore Medical Center. Inside Plaza Towers, staff did what older schools without safe rooms are told to do: move inward, away from windows, into hallways and bathrooms. That sounds reasonable, right up until you remember what EF5 wind actually means. This was not just a bad storm pressing on a building. This was a machine, pulling roofs upward, shoving walls sideways and turning debris into projectiles. Federal investigators later concluded that the designated safe area in the newer main classroom building at Plaza Towers did not provide life safety. 7 schoolchildren died there when part of that area collapsed. That sentence sounds clinical. The reality was anything but. One contemporaneous account describes teachers screaming for children to get into the hallway as the plan changed in seconds. Students crowded into bathrooms and closets. A 6th grader later said the roar sounded like a stampede of elephants. Then the ceiling was gone. Another child survivor later described doors flying open and shut and the ceiling lifting away. That's the kind of detail you use sparingly, because it doesn't need help from extra adjectives. It already has enough force. Then came the rescue scene outside. Another witness account described a human chain of parents, neighbours, police and firefighters passing injured children hand to hand out of the rubble. That image deserves time on screen. Not because it's dramatic, because it's real, and because disasters do this strange thing where ordinary people are forced into impossible jobs in an instant. One moment you're a parent driving toward a school, the next moment you're digging through a collapsed wall with your bare hands. Elsewhere in Moore, one local mother used the warning time to grab her daughters and run to a neighbour's underground shelter. Another parent raced to Plaza Towers, found the school locked as the seconds disappeared, and barely made it to a nearby cellar. At the hospital, staff had already started internal emergency alerts before the city warning even arrived. Patients were moved into interior hallways and the cafeteria. The tornado still tore through the medical centre at around 3:21 p.m, causing such severe damage that the facility was ultimately demolished, leaving Moore without a functioning hospital. This could have been worse. The Weather Service's own service announcement found the Norman office performed above its tornado warning goals and had been messaging the threat well before tornado genesis. The office also pushed GIS-based track information to emergency managers while the tornado was still in progress, saving response time. So if this documentary uses a skeptical angle, that angle should not be "they failed to warn people." That line's too easy, and for this case, it's not well supported. The deeper problem was structural. Older schools like Plaza Towers and Briarwood didn't have dedicated safe rooms. Many homes had no shelter at all, and Moore's sirens, like many outdoor warning systems, were mainly designed to alert people outside. Useful, yes, but only if the next step exists. Only if there's an actual refuge nearby. That is the bitter split screen at the heart of the Moore tornado. Some of the best warning signs in the country on one side, and too many vulnerable buildings on the other. The numbers tell the same story, even if the injury counts vary by source. A federal engineering report cited 24 fatalities and 387 injuries treated at local hospitals in the intermediate aftermath. The later official state tornado database lists 24 deaths and 212 injuries. Either way, the destruction was staggering. Federal estimates counted 1,128 structures destroyed and 2,393 impacted, while early damage estimates exceeded $2 billion. Then came the policy fight. After the storm, Moore strengthened residential building codes. New homes had to use stronger anchoring, more robust roof-to-wall connections, and tougher garage door standards aimed at roughly 135-mile-an-hour winds. That wouldn't stop an EF5, and it's worth saying that out loud. But it can keep weaker tornadoes and edge-of-path winds from turning a house into loose pieces. The more divisive question was schools and shelters. And here's the part that still lands with a thud. State leaders encouraged safe rooms after Moore, but Oklahoma didn't mandate them for schools. Warnings matter, forecasting matters, radar matters, but warning lead time is not the same thing as protection. Moore had science. Moore had sirens. Moore had meteorologists staring at the storm in real time. And still, within minutes, families ended up under collapsed walls. Teachers used their own bodies as shields. And a city that had seen major tornadoes before was forced to relearn the same terrible truth. Tornadoes don't test a place only by wind speed. They test how a community builds, how it communicates, and what it decides is worth paying for before the sky goes black. And maybe that's the fairest way to end this story. Not by pretending Moore was helpless, and not by pretending warning technology solved everything. It didn't. Moore was warned. Moore was experienced. Moore was resilient. But resilience without refuge is a dangerous myth. And on May 20th, 2013, that myth was torn apart board by board, wall by wall, classroom by classroom.